talk to you about my research on psychoanalysis and theater. And the opportunity to have a performance here of my new play, Hidden Freud Collected Works.
But those who don't have the more leaflets.
Yes, at the Freud Museum. Well, I have, in fact, actually, two kinds of this research on psychoanalysis and theater. One, theoretically, as psychoanalyst in my practice. In my practice as psychoanalyst and writer and teacher, I am interested in how the theater can help psychoanalysts. If you agree with Freud that the artist always come before the psychoanalyst. So we must learn from the artist with psychoanalysts. That was always Freud and Lacan positions regarding the arts. And for the last one, I created a group with professionals of the performing arts that is in conscience on stage. So I propose, I'm going to talk today to you about my research on a concept, a Lacanian concept, that I think is in this connection between psychoanalysis and theater. That is the Semblant, le Semblant. I think it is not translated. We say Semblant as in French, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Well, the word Semblant comes from simulus, which means similar, similitude, simulacrum, and it's something that represents something else. In French, semblant is an ordinary word that has to do with the way something looks like. It has to do with the appearance of something. In France, from the 16th and 17th century on, the word went through a change and the negative meaning of the term prevailed. Since then, the word semblant points to something illusory, false, or misleading. When we say in French, if Jérôme, if I am wrong, you correct me, please. Okay. Well, semblant in French, when you say ça c'est du semblant ou faire semblant, it means that you are pretending, representing an idea that is not true. Lacan makes use of this term in his teaching, but in a different way. It is not this. It has not this negative connotation. He turns it into a concept that indicates appearance, performance, and similitude. However, the idea he conveys with this word is not opposed to what is true. So, semblant is not the opposite of truth in Lacan's theory. In Lacan's terms, faire semblant is to perform an action, theatrically speaking. It has nothing to do with Vorstellung, with representation, as we say, unconscious representation, Vorstellung. A good translation, I think, of faire semblant in English, it would be make-believe. I perform an action to make believe something, but it is not necessarily false, or it is not necessarily a lie. Well, it's to play a role or to play as if. We say also in English to play as if. It is just like in drama. You know that the actor is acting out a scene in order to make us believe in it. Although we know that that scene is a fiction, this performance can be linked with the truth or not. You can say when an actor is transmitting something that really touches you, and it's true, and whether it's not. We feel that. So it's the same. But when he is playing a role, we cannot say that he's lying. We know it is a drama, it is an acting. So the semblant is the same. The conception of semblant can be linked with the concept of mimesis in Aristotle. In Aristotle, poetic mimesis, which is normally in French it was, and even in Portuguese it was translated as imitation. But the best translation of mimesis from the Greek is representation or performing. Is a fundamental concept to talk about art. Art is a mimesis of nature for Aristotle. Such an idea is part of the definition of tragedy and also of mankind. Tragedy is the mimesis of an action that is performed by actors to provoke a cathartic experience of terror and pity. This is the classic definition of Aristotle. Well, it is the performance of an action and not the imitation of a character. This is very important. A mimesis of an action and not of a character. The role play is at the basis of the definition of mankind to Aristotle. A man is a being to mimesis. In contrast to animals, the man is the only living being who is capable of role playing, of course. And this is something that starts at a very early age. We frequently say how small children are used to acting out, and also how they love playing with each other, many things and many roles, etc. Perhaps the origin of the word to play has to do with this playing of the children. You know? In their make-believe, children can pretend to be a doctor just by playing this role, and also swap roles with their friends just for the sake of having fun, with no purpose at all. What I mean to say is that the action of playing is in itself truly referred to mimesis. When a painter depicts an apple on canvas, we cannot say that this apple is false, or we are lying that it is an apple. We know it is a painting. So mimesis is an action which implies gathering things, enacting, depicting scenes, playing different roles, and so on. For Aristotle, all kinds of arts are mimesis. So this is to how can I say, to separate the concept of semblant of the question of true or lie. No, it's like art. You will represent something that you know that is not more the object or the model. It is another thing, but it refers to that thing. So the semblant is the same. It's my interpretation. According to Lacan, the semblant has to do with the act of representation in the sense of depicting a scene within an action. That is to say, to enact. The ability to recreate is part of man's symbolic apparatus, which they use in order to transform things around them. This is what makes man different from animals. We can create something that is different from the things. Once the latter cannot enact or represent ideas. The animal cannot pretend to be hungry or to be falsely false, as man can. The game, for instance, of Forda of the children, is the performance of an action, of a scene, which is not false. On the other hand, it is also a semblant, as the child is making believe that the mother is going away for and coming back. With this playing, she is acting the the going and coming back of the mother. So she is doing the semblant of the disappearance and the returning of the mother. We can say that for Aristotle that man is a being of mimesis. Un être pour la mimesis, un être pour les semblants, a being for the semblant, to the semblant. Well, from the 70s onwards, in Lacan's teaching, the meaning of semblant acquires an increasing importance. It was at that moment that he developed what he called the field of jouissance, which he regarded as the Lacanian field. He said, the field of jouissance, I'm going to call it the Lacanian field. Meaning that, for him, the field of language, it was what Freud developed. He would develop the field of jouissance. Well, this field is structured by the discourses as social bonds. These social bonds have different elements that work as agents, and these agents represent some sort of people. And the agent of the discourse for Lacan is a semblant. For instance, if we have a boss, he makes believe he is in the semblant that he got the power. A boss which is the semblant of power. A teacher makes believe he's got the knowledge. If I am now in the place of the teacher, I am in a semblant. I am going to make you believe that I know something about the things I'm going to tell you. So it is what Lacan denounces, that this place that makes the social bond, it's a semblant. Does that not mean it's a lie? But it is like that. If I'm going outside and I talk with someone, or if I am in my consulting room, I am going to act another semblant, not this one. I'm not going to represent the knowledge as a teacher does. Or a boss that represents is a semblant of the power, as the primer signifier. No, it is a semblant, so the teacher makes believe he's got the knowledge, the hysterics makes believe he or she, her symptom, and the analyst make believes he is the object, he is the semblant object A. This is the point of Lacan to the analyst's position that I'm going to develop. On the other hand, Lacan says in Seminar 20 that that is only through semblant that is possible to achieve the real. That means the jouissance, he said, is questioned, evoked, tracked, and elaborated only on the basis of the semblant. It's on the page 92 of the Seminar 20 in English. Well, New York and London Norton, page 92. And it is from the position of Semblant that Lacan defines the act of the analyst, the analytic act. Thus established this social bond invented by Freud. It is not the setting that defines the analytic act. It's the act of the analyst. It's not the setting, the couch, etc., but it's the analytic act. Well, the analytic technique extracts from the theater two main themes: the act and the interpretation. The act is one of the parts of the play. Once a play is made of a series of successful actions, every act of a play implies always an act of a character that is central of this part. For instance, Act I of Hamlet, the main act happens when the ghost of the father tells the